If this song is not befitting, I know my Alexa, pause. And I'm not going to take that out. I'm not going to take that out. Let's just begin the show. I want to welcome you all back to the Dearly Becoming podcast. I am your sister, auntie, friend, your empowerment coach, Nikki Johnson, Coach Nick. I'm going to share something with y'all real quick. As you can see, there's a bit of a different setup today. I use different software to record this today for a lot of crazy reasons. With that being said, so I had to do the setup. Here's the thing. I have this setup in such a way, it is really rigged up. And I kid you not when I say rigged up. If you watch my very first episode, I was very honest in sharing with you all an insecurity that I had in starting another solo podcast. I was not secure in the fact that this run, what I know God told me, the promises that He made, the success that I would see if I'd actually see it, because I've been here, done this before. And if you haven't seen the first episode, it'll be linked down below. Go back and watch it. Full explanation is there. So every time up until now, because I'm not going to say this is going to keep happening, but every time I got ready to record a new episode, so many things would happen. When I say so many things, I kid you not. The episode, 2 episodes ago, I was explaining to you all, even before I got ready to record, my mother got rushed to the hospital. Things started to not work. Technology goes haywire. iPad has fallen probably 8, 9 times. Each time I've gotten ready to start, so many things were happening. The part of me that wants to run back to the identity of things don't work out for me, that wants to believe that God won't bring things to pass, that He's promised, that wants to believe that you've been here and done this. How many times before? Is this going to be just like the time before? The part that wants to identify with when you do things for yourself, they don't work out. I'm just being 100% vulnerable right now. That part wanted to just say, give up. Like, it's not your fault that none of the things that are supposed to work are working, down to the technology. Like, I'm even leaning right now because I can't get it to sit all the way up. Before I even found this book to prop it up on, it would not sit even on the tripod. There were so many things that gave me justifiable reasons to myself to just give up and say, forget it. But today's episode, we're going to actually be talking about letting go of who you were to become who you're meant to be. And part of that is unidentifying with things that you have identified with, taking on as your personal identity, your personal character, a personal mindset, a personal thought pattern. So you can not only overcome insecurities, but you can become who you're supposed to be. I'm actually walking it out so I can talk about it. I had Alexa playing, and the song that comes on is My Name is Victory. What a befitting song. While every challenge that could came. See, I am becoming the podcaster, the life coach, the minister, the author, the woman of God that God means for me to be, who He's always meant for me to be. But the path wants to dictate not only my present, But the past wants to dictate how I see what God said. God has already said what he said. What these little things are that are trying to block me, stop me, and discourage me want me to say is God is not going to do what he said. God lied to you. It's easier not trying than trying because every time I try, all hell seems to break loose. Who can identify with that? Who can identify with every time I try, it seems like I get kicked back, knocked back 5 or 6 steps, 5 or 6 feet back every time I try. It looks like I'm failing. Why do I even try? I know I'm not alone. I know I am not alone in this. Someone literally just said this to me last night. They said, Nikki, every time I try, and I'm trying my best, all this stuff keeps happening. I'm at the point where I want to give up. That's what it's designed to do. And this is going so totally different than I had planned, which leads me to believe that there's somebody watching right now. And I can feel you so strongly who is saying, she's talking about me. She's talking directly to me because that's been me. And this is one of the things that has been blocking you. You keep trying to lose the weight. You keep trying to be better. You've been going to the counseling. You've been working on the way you talk to people. You've been reading all of the books, trying all of the things that the gurus have said, tried all the things that the motivational speakers have told you. You tried over and over and over. And it feels like every time you do, things happen. Everything comes against you. And you're just at your wit's end. I want to share the scripture with you. Romans 7:21. You're saying, when I want to do good, evil is always present. When I want to do good, something always happens. When I'm trying to do good, it's like the battle begins, the war rages. If it's any consolation to you, anytime you are trying to do good, anytime you have set your mind to do the will of God for your life, you've decided, I'm going to do better. Anytime you've decided that I don't want to live like this anymore, you've decided that life cannot keep going on for me like this. You make up in your mind to change your ways, there will be a battle. Because if we honestly think that invisible yet very real force of an enemy called Satan wants to see you do good, wants to see you do better, will actually help you do better, then you will believe and allow you to see yourself. Even inside of us, there's a war raging. There's a battle Paul talks about inside of us. A war within our own members. A war from your head to your heart. A war between your will and your desire. A war between your soul and your flesh. Romans 7:21. When I would do good, evil is always present. Now, I don't know about you, but that gives me a level of comfort to know that it's not just me. It's not a battle that I'm fighting by myself. It's not a battle that's unknown to any man. I don't care who they are. We all fight against that, which is why you have someone overcoming an addiction, but they go through withdrawal symptoms. Their heart and their mind and their soul and their spirit want to overcome and get off and let go. But their flesh desires and crave and want and even physically reacts to not having it. That is a war going on inside your member. That was a sign for somebody right there. And the addiction just doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. It could be sugar. It could be an addiction to social media. It could be an addiction to getting plastic surgery, an addiction to dieting. an addiction to anything that is detrimental to your health or your life. Well, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. If I need to feel that frustration, to be able to have this illustration, was to have a better explanation of what it is we've been facing and going through. To God be the glory. I'm going to say this before we continue on. You're not defeated. You're not defeated. I understand the weariness that can come in that type of battle. I understand the thought pattern that would come. What if I was doing so and so, I didn't have all these problems. It's easier doing that than it is to try not to do it. Understand that. But here's what I want you to understand. That thought pattern is designed to encourage and influence you to stop progressing forward, to stay where you are and not change. But don't forget, where you are is where you're having a lot of issues and problems too. Where you are is not where you're happy. Where you are is uncomfortably comfortable, but it's still uncomfortable. Where you are is discontent because you know greater is calling you. You understand very well that you should be doing more, that you absolutely should be further in life by now. You understand that more is calling out of you. More, your future is calling more from you. That potential and the gifting and the talent and all of that greatness that's been put in you has been calling you from where you are to over there. Don't let the cheerleader of fear, don't let the cheerleader of mindsets that want to hold you back, don't let the cheerleader of perception keep you where God is desiring to pull and call you from. Okay. Let's get further into the episode. You ever tried to drive your car in reverse with the intention of going forward? You ever tried to ride your bike up the hill while pedaling backward? That doesn't work, does it? It actually sounds crazy, doesn't it? But do you realize that's exactly what you've been doing? You've been trying to move forward in life, to become a better person, to overcome your past, to overcome your fear, but you keep dwelling on what's behind you. You are moving forward by going backward. You are still living in your past. You're still holding on to what happened 5, 10 years ago. You won't stop living your life as if you are who you were back then. We may not realize it, but sometimes we become a person. We become something to survive a situation. We take on these attributes and characteristics when we are in survival mode. We become really hard. Sometimes we become incredibly isolated or independent. We become untrusting. We become these things because who we were got hurt. Who we were got disappointed. Who we were was abandoned. Who we were got abused. So you began to become something different. So these things don't ever happen to you again. And the more you live in survival mode, the more you take on that persona. But what happens when you're no longer living in hustle mode? When you're no longer living on constant protective duty, protective watch? What happens when you're out of the relationship where you were hurt? What happens when it's 10 years later after the abandonment? What happens when it's 20 years after the divorce? What happens 5 years after you were betrayed? Are you still living as that person? Whenever I ask that question, it's asking, do you really know who you are now? Do you? Really know who you are now. Who are you if you let go of the story, if you let go of the event, if you no longer recite and rehearse what happened and how it made you feel? Who are you? Please stop for a moment. I want you to put that in your journal. And I want you to ask yourself this question every day. Who am I right now? Part of overcoming your insecurities is getting to the root cause of why they exist. And some of the root causes, if you let go of that thing you're not secure in, that would mean you'd have to let go of the person that you became. If you're insecure in how you look because you were talked about growing up, you were browbeat about how you look, or because for years you told yourself that, who did you become? Did you become introverted? Did you become mean? Did you become the type of person that would tell somebody off and not think twice about it? Who did you become? Because part of overcoming would mean to unbecome that person and persona that you took on in the course of having that insecurity. Does that scare you? Does the thought of letting go of that identity, does that frighten you? Because if it does, that may be one reason why you're not overcoming it. That may be one reason why you're not becoming who you're supposed to be. When something has comforted you for so long, protected you, when something shielded you, hid you, when it had your back when nobody else did, it's hard to let that go. Because I don't know anything else at this point. I've been this way for so long. As a matter of fact, you've been that way for so long, you have someone come into your life who genuinely loves you, genuinely. And they're saying everything to you that's opposite of that insecurity. But instead of agreeing with it and trusting them that what they're speaking is the truth, you trust that insecurity more on what it speaks to you. So you'll push that person away. You'll give them hell just trying to love you because you trust what comforted you, what has been trustworthy in your life for so long, over someone coming along and re-identifying you. I know that example, sis, with somebody because you've had good people come into your life. You've had good men come into your life. You've had some good women coming in that generally want to be friends with you. But in your mind, you're not going to put yourself out there like that again. Allow yourself to be hurt like that ever again. So you will deny their love, their actions toward you. You will deny that their intention towards you just might be pure. And you would rather push them away. You'd rather walk away than to say, yes, I am who you see me as. Yes, I am a good woman. Yes, I am beautiful. Yes, I am smart. You're right. I can do this. You're right. I can get out there and go after them. I am worthy enough to own my own home. I don't have to live in poverty. There is too much in me than to be sitting around accepting any and everything. You're right. I don't need to be in this relationship with somebody that is mistreating me. You're right. You're right. I do need to get some counseling. You're right. I do need you to pray for me. I do need to unidentify with this false identity that I have been carrying. I didn't carry somebody else's fake ID in my purse, in my wallet all these years, because this is not who I am. You've been the identity theft. I just felt that thing. Oh, Jesus. I felt that. Yeah, the enemy can come along and try to steal our identity and tell us who we are and get us to agree to it and believe it and all. But right now, The deliverance is in you accepting that you've been the identity thief. You don't committed the fraud. Because you are not who you've been acting like. You are not who you've been saying you are. You are not how you've been living. You're not the victim anymore. You're living uncomfortably comfortable. It was scary how you had become, but it kept away the scarier things. It may keep away the scarier things. It may even have protected you. But let me tell you what it also does that you may not have realized or wanted to admit to yourself. It gives you the excuse not to try. It offers you, it just offers it to you, the excuse not to try every single time. Because every time you go to try, as soon as something happens that's contradictory or when resistance comes, it gives you the excuse to stop trying. There's another thing that it does. It gives you the justifiable reason not to take the risk. You are now justifying to yourself why you will never try again. See, this is the reason why I don't. I'm just going to stay in my apartment. I'm not going to go after home again. I've been rejected. My application is not being accepted. I didn't get the loan. I don't make enough money. They said no this time. That's why I don't try. I'm tired of being hurt. That's why I don't try. I'm tired of being disappointed. So you're justifying now on why going forward is the wrong thing to do and why staying in the state that you're in is the right thing for you to do. You're also allowing it to give you, beyond reasonable doubt, the permission to be lazy. I'm sorry, but it gives you the permission to be lazy. But truth be told, you really don't want to do it anyway. You really don't want to. I don't want to put forth the effort. I don't want to try and cry and bleed and sweat. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put in all this work and then get disappointed. I don't want to create the content, create the podcast episode, write the book, and nobody's going to read it. I'm going to only get 12 likes or 2 views. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to go exercise. I'd rather take the quick pill and lose the weight because I don't want to put forth the effort. You are worth working for the better you. No, everybody should not just accept you as you are. Well, this is just who I am. If they can't accept me as I am, then oh well, they'll need to be in my life. No, that's you being lazy. You want people to do the work to love you, but you don't want to do the work to be loved. Tweet that. All of our job to keep putting up with your bull snap. It's all of our job to keep allowing you to talk to us crazy and treat us crazy and not be a reciprocating good friend in return. You want us to have to always do for you and have to always accept how you are instead of you doing the work and nothing like that. Instead of you doing the work and making the apology, realizing you need to stop treating people like you do because you are bleeding on the people that didn't cut you. And the cut that you did receive back 10, 15, 5 years ago, that thing keeps trying to heal and scab over, but you keep picking it open because you would rather it ooze, you would rather show the wound, you would rather bleed and people see you bleeding so you don't have to do the work because they should understand this is just how you are. You see why I'm like this? You see this cut? I act like this because act like this because I'm wounded. Act like this because I'm bleeding. But God keeps compelling you to allow him to do the work in you. He keeps bringing laborers, friends, relationships, people, pastors, counselors, prayer warriors into your life to sow seeds of change, to help you turn your life around. But being able to show the wound and tell the story, that's easier. That's less work. It's more comfortable. Let me ask you, how is it working out for you though? How? Because all of your exes, it couldn't have been all their fault and you had nothing to do with it. Because the common denominator is All of your family members can't be wrong, and you're the only one that's right. Every woman in the world can't be wrong. You just have a hard time working with women. Every boss at every job, you keep either quitting or you keep getting fired. But every boss, it's always the bosses in your cohort. If this is resonating with you, put in the comment, I'm ready. Ready to change. You are ready to do it differently. You are ready to see it differently. You are ready to overcome yourself. You are ready to stop bleeding on people that never cut you. You are ready to stop telling the same story. You are ready to finally wipe the tears and wipe the snot. Straighten up your posture and wash your face and move on, because you know time for you to stop being who you were so you can become who you are meant to be. A few of the things that will help you do that. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us that to everything there is a season. There is a time to change. I want to tell you today that your season of being them is over. And now is your time to become new. It goes on to say that not only is there a season and a time for everything, but a time for every purpose under the sun. It doesn't need to serve that purpose in your life anymore. It does not. You may have had to become in survival mode season, hustle season. You probably had to become those things. Our bodies have a way of doing fight or flight, and maybe that's what needed to happen then. But that season is over. Stop trying to prolong summer when winter is trying to come. Stop trying to stay in winter when your spring has arrived. It is time for you to live a new life. And you may not know how to live a new life. The beauty and newness, discovery. And for you, this season is about rediscovering. What I'm telling y'all, I have had to live through in different seasons of my life. Because when God is taking you higher and taking you different, taking you to new and new chapters are opening, you can bring on old stuff, and old levels, and old mindset, and things that served him and you on one level and not gonna do the same thing on another. When a baby starts growing teeth, they can start eating solid foods. They don't need to keep eating strained. Their bodies will require a different type of nutrient, and that nutrient is going to come from different food. And those foods will require chewing. Henceforth, God gives them teeth. God has been giving you so many gifts, talents, anointing. You got so much wisdom that it's not going to serve you right here. It's not going to serve you right there. It's going to serve you here. It's time to recognize that change is a natural part of life. Change is natural. Although you've been fighting it, change is natural. It's so natural. That's why you've been uncomfortable and you haven't been content. Because change is doing this. You keep trying to do that. Change is trying to help you pedal so you can get up that hill, but you keep pedaling backwards. A rose can grow from concrete. Hard as you've been, and as much as you have been fighting change, a rose can still bud from concrete. What is the meaning of that? That beauty and strength can emerge from the most unlikeliest places. Shay just said, okay, you did go through all of these things, but I can bring beauty from those. I can bring you beauty from your ashes if you allow me to. As rough, tough, hard, unlikely as you think you are, your life has been, to bring anything beautiful from it, if you allow it, you would be surprised at what can grow from the concrete of your past. Yeah. Embrace your true self, 100% all of who you are. including the vulnerable part, including your imperfection, including the things that you've been afraid to show other people, that you've been trying to hide because you're afraid that someone's not going to accept them or talk about them. When you accept you for who you are on a daily basis, you begin to dismantle the power of insecurity in your life. You begin to dismantle the power of fear in your life. If I embraced that I was raped, if I embraced that I was abused, if I embrace that I have muscular dystrophy and I have to use a wheelchair now, if I embrace all these things, which I've had to embrace in my life, took away the power of insecurity. It took away even me seeing it as a flaw or an imperfection. Being raped is not my flaw. It is not my imperfection. It is something that happened to me that I can use not only to empower my own self, because God blessed me to survive, but I can use that to empower other people that I see struggling where I was struggling to overcome it. I can tell them what tools I used. But if I kept seeing it as a flaw, as an imperfection, if I was too afraid to be vulnerable with it and talk about it, it would overtake me and I would have stayed a victim and not be living the victorious life that I'm living. Does not mean that I don't have to overcome insecurity, that I don't have to deal with the pain of it. But notice that I said I deal with it and I overcome it. You can too. You can rewrite a new narrative. Number one, stop telling the same story. Let go of the story that you've been telling yourself. Let go of the story that you've been telling others. See, the way you've been telling your story has you as the victim in the beginning, the middle, and in the end. When do you become the hero in your story? When do you become the victor in your story? See, you can change the narrative of your own life. You don't have to accept things as is. That may be what happened, but that's not who you are. That may be what happened, but that does not have to be how it ends. What did I just tell you? And some of you didn't know. You haven't read my book. Some of you just meeting me today, so you had no idea that I'm a survivor of rape. A whole lot more. Keep watching, you'll find out that I'm a survivor of. But if I wore it as my mantle, if I wore it as my armor, I could not be doing what I'm doing right now. Couldn't. I would never have written that book. Never. You can rewrite the narrative of your story. This may have happened. This is what's happening in my life now. You can create and write a new vision for your life and walk that out every single day. Some of us don't have vision. You keep seeing life in the past view. Why don't you begin to see your life in the preview? How do you want your life to look in the future? Let that become your focus. You don't drive forward looking back in that rear view. You drive forward looking forward. Here. How do you see yourself 5 years from now? Let's make it even more present. How do you see yourself next year? Exactly 6 months from now, where do you see yourself? Write the narrative of what that's going to look like to get you from here to there. Speak life into that self. And when you do that, I want you to watch how things come into fruition. Trust the process. You got to trust the process by following the plan and by having faith. If you ask God to give you the process, what steps are needed, what is it that you need to do, and what do you need to unbecome to become, He will give it to you. If you sit down and you write that narrative and you write out where you want to see yourself in 6 months and the steps you need to take to get there, if you will trust the process, By following the plan and having faith, you will see you change. I am trusting the plan God gave me to do this solo podcast again. I'm trusting it, but that doesn't mean a whole bunch of stuff has not been happening to get me to not trust it. It's like in Matthew 14, when God calls Peter out to come to him. Jesus is standing on the water. Peter's in the boat. Peter's in the safe boat, okay? Jesus is out there standing on the water, and Jesus tells Peter to come to me. Between Peter in the boat and Jesus, it was water. There were no steps. There was no concrete, no sidewalk. Peter begins to take steps of faith, just like I'm asking you to do right now. And then Peter begins to see the wind. And then Peter begins to see the water moving. And then Peter got scared. So Peter began to sink. I'm telling you, I'm taking these steps and trusting God's process for me. And I have been seeing wind. I've been seeing this water move. I've been thinking. I almost sunk. I know that's bad grammar, but you feel me. Go with the illustration. But the good, loving God reached out and pulled me up and told me, same thing he's telling you, be strong, take courage, don't be afraid. I got you. Stop concentrating on everything that wants to bide for your focus, so it can cause you to say, wow, no, and seek and fail. Trust God in this process. If he's telling you to get out there and walk on that water to him, I don't care if your foot go down deeper in this step than it does in the next. Whatever you do, don't give up. When Peter began to sink, Peter cries out, Lord, save me. Lord, save me. Jesus reaches out. He catches him and he says, you of little faith. Why did you doubt? That's what he's saying to us all right now. Why are you doubting me? Why are you doubting that I can make you new? Why are you doubting that I have the power to change you? And while I'm changing you, to still shield and protect you? Why do you doubt that I will give you wisdom and teach you how to discern what's in the heart of man so you don't have to be afraid of people? Why do you doubt that I love you? Why do you doubt that I love you so much that I want to see you prosper? Never forget that transformation takes time. Be patient with yourself, but keep persevering. You need patience and perseverance. Patience to know that it may not look like something is happening, even though you're trying and you're trying. Keep working at it. Let patience have its perfect work, so you may be perfect and lacking nothing. The character is built, the muscles are built, the strength is built as you persevere. You may not see weight loss happening, but keep working out. Just keep doing it. Keep trying. Keep doing affirmation. Keep doing your part, and you will see progress. The last thing I want to say to you is celebrate yourself. It is okay to celebrate you. People say celebrate small victories. Everything that happens is a victory. It's not big or it's small. And I want you to start taking the time every single day. Maybe you need to do it in your journal before you go to bed. Write down 3 victories that you had that day and watch how you begin to not only overcome insecurity, but how you begin to become a much better you. Really becoming. The journey of letting go of who you once were to become who you were meant to be is a sacred and transformative process. It requires us to embrace change, to rewrite the narrative of our lives, to practice self-compassion and be patient, but to also continue in perseverance. It requires us to set clear goals and intentions and to follow through with the plan while trusting the process and holding on to faith. Never forget that you are not alone in this journey. Next to Jesus, I am your biggest cheerleader. Until next time, may you continue to grow, transform, and embrace who you are meant to be. And always remember that becoming is beautiful. I love you all so very much. Please be sure to subscribe hit that notification, share so we can continue to grow together. I also want to encourage you all to comment what is one thing that you would take from today's episode and how will you put that into action. I love you guys so much and I thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.